Guys, I need your help. This video will be a little bit of a departure from my standard KSP series because I need your help. Yes, you heard that right. I will be designing this plane, which accounting all purposes and things should be flying, but apparently it's doing the flippity flip flip, and I, for the life of me, cannot figure out what is wrong with it. I've been trying a lot, and I've posted even the security derivatives and all that stuff, and this is the previous craft that I have been designing. It met similar fate, but it was flying better, but it had problem with the landing gear. However, I wanted to design a completely new plane with the B9 procedural wing. Could be the part of the problem, I wouldn't know, but I'm pretty sure that the KSP experts watching this video, for you guys it will probably be obvious. For me it is not, and I'm really needing your help. So I'm actually designing the craft using the Mark II components because I simply like the aesthetic, and let's face it, I mean, there is no better looking components at this stage level. You could go with Mark I. I'm putting here my insurance, which is the ejection modules for my Kerbals. I will still be trying to fly that plane. I'm not sure how. Now, by the end of this episode, you will see how it looks, how it flies, and all the quirks that I have discovered, although I haven't found a solution. And that's why I need your help. So, that being said, now, I wanted to be the plane, finally, the third attempt, 3 times the charm, that will ultimately be landing. And the videos that you will be watching of the flight are its testing phase. So I have not yet launched it in my permanent episode. And if one of you guys or whomever provides me the information, correct information that will help me design it so it flies correct, will get a shout out from me in the actual video, or maybe a little bit later, depending on how long time it takes. And it will be getting its own Kerbal to be going on adventures, and you can choose which Kerbal you would like. So when you post your comment below, also post the name of the Kerbal. Who knows, I just might add you, I mean, if it's valuable feedback. So yeah, a little bit of involving you as well. However, I've been designing a lot of this craft to try and make it, scientifically plausible, and this should be flying pretty well. I mean, I've tested, and for all intents and purposes, I don't know, it could be that I'm using the dual bay. I mean, I'm doing the dual short bay. I don't know if that's the problem. However, I'm planning a lot of experiments, and I'm kind of hoping that they will work out. In the final flight, we will know for sure. So if you're not already subscribed, do click the subscribe button if you want to be following this plane on its maiden flight. The first two, well, had moderate amount of success. Namely, they had problems with the landing gear, and they always ended up on the wrong side of the law. Now, this guy, actually, I don't know how it will go, but I'm putting a couple of tanks up front just to keep the weight a little bit shifted towards the front, because I am worried that my center of mass and center of lift won't be aligned. I know that usually center of mass should be a little bit ahead of center of lift, and that the center of thrust should be thrusting directly through the center of mass. So I don't think that's the problem here. However, I honestly don't know. I have a lot of my own suspicions. However, I wasn't able to verify even a single one of them. Now I'm adding the engines, and I'm using the Weasleys. I think those are the Weasleys. And I'm adding the air brakes so that I can actually brake mid-flight. I've decided to add 4 total intakes, and I know it's an overkill. It should be 1 intake per engine, but I do want it to be an overkill so that my engines doesn't, flame out. Now here, when designing the procedural wing, it took me ages. I mean, I was used to using the old shortcuts to design, which was the BT and I think G or K or something like that. However, I've now started to use this wing thickness, so I'm by no means expert when it comes to this procedural wings. I used to use old ones, and I don't know even when it comes to this, shiny surfaces, coloring and all that stuff. So probably, don't judge me on this, I'm a little bit noob here. I did use a lot of procedural wings throughout my episodes, but this feels a little bit different. Could be that I'm missing here. So let me know what you think in the comments. Anyway, the Delta Wing, I mean, the craft itself is inspired a little by the Swedish fighter JAS Gripen, JAS 39. Although the twin engine is my own design because, well, I mean, I don't have the single nacelle to basically have a single turbofan engine. I could be putting Panther at the back, and then it would be maybe a little bit more reminiscent of the Gripen, but I don't know. It's just a way for me to figure something out, to have some sort of inspiration. However, I don't know why is this wing offsetted by this much. I have literally no idea. I want to put it at the tip, and I was hoping that it would be inheriting the same properties, but for some reason it did not. So I had to move it physically a little bit up front. Why? I have literally no idea. Now, I do want to design that the wing tips are sort of aligned, and I do want to be putting the control surfaces as well at the back, and at which point I'm going to be tipping the wings up, you know, rotating it by 90 degrees to provide the vertical stability. I also do plan to introduce dual tail fins because those should keep the aircraft stable in the yaw direction. And right now I'm trying to determine the thickness of the root and the thickness of the tip, because to me they look flip inverted, so I'm trying to figure out the orientation. Clearly, as I said, not a master here, and these handles are really not helping me. So I'm trying to figure out how to best approach it. So yeah, I mean, at some point just frustration kicks in a little bit. If you guys have any good tips on designing these, I would really be interested to hear about them in the comments, so by all means fire away, guys. I have designed lots of planes, but it seems like in this series I'm struggling with the design. For reasons completely unbeknown to me. Maybe something has changed, maybe I have just become a little bit dumber, older and dumber when it comes to designing this stuff. Now, alright, so this is primarily, as I said, build and test episode. Now, what I want to be highlighting is that I was able to, I mean, the control surfaces, I'm not checking any derivatives or anything, I'm just trying to use an eyeballing, basically. So first I designed the flaps. So those inwards are flaps. Now the ones outside should be ailerons. So for those of you that don't know, flaps are required, basically providing just additional drag and stability during the low speed operations, while the ailerons control the pitch and the roll primarily of the aircraft, while the tail and its tail fins control mainly the rudder or the yaw, if you will. Now, what I'm trying to figure out, and these two tail fins will be rotated by 90 degrees, which will essentially turn them into the tail fins, hopefully, like the winglets, if you will. So that's kind of my reasoning, or what I was trying to achieve with the plane when I was actually designing it. However, the parts are way too thick, and I'm trying to find a good thickness so that I can control it. Okay, that looks doable. I just had to shorten the tips a little bit, but other than that, oh, and these are too thick, so I should probably thin them down by a large margin and make it a little bit shorter. Yes, okay, that looks doable to me. Now I should probably at some point say, okay, let's see, can we color this? Now let's see, this would be the flat. Next configuration, I'm trying to say that this one won't be controlling the yaw or the pitch and roll, while recoloring, putting it to white or light gray. I think light gray would work actually quite nice with the rest of the craft. So let's see if we can color everything. This one will be controlling pitch and roll because they're ailerons. And now this one will be like mini tail fins, and I'm trying to reduce their control and deflect to 12. They were at 15. I don't know if that's maybe an overkill. Could be. could be potential source of the problem. I'm not sure. But anyway, I may actually even post my craft somewhere. I'll have to figure it out where I'm going to be placing it. So let's recolor the wings, because I mean, it's kind of hard to post when you have a lot of mods installed. Then everything becomes a little bit harder. That's why I thought the video would be an ideal chance for you guys to see it. And okay, now I'm gonna be rotating them, not maybe by 90 degrees, but let's say a little bit less than that. I do like, you know, the YF23, what was it, the Black Widow or the Wyvern design, fighter inspiration when it comes to the winglets. And now it's me trying to put the tail fins. Now the tail fins I'm gonna be putting to surface attach. I do like them at an angle, let's say 45 degrees, which means I'm going to be moving the air brakes. So hopefully these two should be providing some sort of stability, I hope. And now we're putting the winglets, and as you can see, the angle of mass and angle of lift are just right in my opinion. So they are close to each other, and they should be pretty much well aligned. I don't like them overlapping completely, because I do like that my craft is a little bit more aerodynamically stable. However, the aircraft does seem to be very, you know, tail heavy, so it could be that my problems could have something with that, and that's my kind of main suspicion, but I cannot verify it obviously. I will be showing the Ferrum Aerospace Research, you know, the Mach swept wings and static analysis, but I don't understand what those parameters mean. So it could be that I'm having the problem mainly in the transonic region. So, having said that, I'm setting up my action groups. So custom 1 will be toggling the engine, so I can, you know, restart them in case they flame out. Then when it comes to everything else, I'm gonna be putting the 3, I'm gonna be putting all of the experiments that I have on 3 and 4. So all of the experiments that I could possibly master are gonna be on 3, and the experiment collector is gonna be on the 4. So I can just spam 3, 4, 3, 4 while I'm flying, and hopefully while I'm touching down, landing before I meet my ultimate demise, and I could save a little bit of science, hopefully. Now, alright, as you can tell, everything seems to be a-okay in my opinion, at least the way it looks like. But yeah, as said, I'm still trying to figure out why is it behaving the way it's behaving. So, now let's see. I'm putting now the controls for increasing the flap deflection and decreasing the flap deflection, because I want to be able, while I'm flying, to increase and reduce the flaps, to increase and, you know, decrease the stability. So here we are. I posted all of these at 1.5 times accelerated, just so you can see how beautiful the craft looks and how it flies. I mean, it really looks gorgeous. My main problem with it is because once it comes to the above, just shy of the 1 Mach, it starts going bananas. So it looks good, and I try to, you know, turn, and it immediately goes flippity flip flip, bye bye. Note that I'm not using the stability assist, and I've tested at least the ejection thingies. Here's the second attempt. This looks a little bit more stable, and I tried once again not pitching too much, just by a little bit, tiny controls, and hoping that I will have a little bit more control while everything is going. And as you can tell, we are increasing, we are not stalled by any means, so we are accelerating, and all of a sudden it starts to flippity flip flip and cartwheel all the way back. Why is it doing that? I have literally no idea. Now, when it comes to this, I was trying to see, is there any way where actually center of lift is going ahead of the center of mass, so it becomes aerodynamically unstable, and that's not the case. Then I was trying to find fair aerospace research, and I said, okay, swept angle of attack looks stable to me. I'm not an expert here, but it seems a-okay for most part. Now I'm going to sweep Mach. I don't know what this curve means actually, and it could be, let's say, stability derivatives. Calculate, everything is green at 0.35, arrows 55. This one is a little bit side slip. I do have the N beta, which would seem to be the problem. So But if we're above Mach 1, the craft seemed to be stable once again. So when it comes from that, I'm not exactly sure what to make of it, but I'm hoping that this will actually mean to some of you watching this video. So that's why I'm asking for your help mainly. Now, I think this will be the final flight where I was able to resemble some sort of stability, and I've turned on the debug UI because I was kind of hoping that you guys could tell me if you see something which is out of order. Because at this point everything seemed to be fine, and I was trying to go above Mach 1 because I do know that the aircraft is stable after Mach 1, which it apparently seems to be. And the only thing that's kind of I'm trying to figure out is with the left, right, left, right, left, right tilting, which I don't know why it happens, but okay, it seems to be oscillating a little bit more than I would like it to. However, the craft should be designed to be able to do that, and the drag introduced seems to be fine. Now we should be decelerating through the transonic region, and this is where the things get a little bit more unstable. However, this is usually the danger zone, and I'm trying to figure out why. The craft is still stable, though, as you can tell, but I'm actually barely touching the controls. I mean, the craft should be way more stable than this, and I was trying, okay, flap, controls, and I'm trying just to see if anything gets stalled. That's why I'm monitoring the procedural control surfaces, because for the time being, it doesn't seem to be stalled. Now we are going 244 meters per second. In my opinion, this craft should be stable at, I don't know, 50 meters per second? At least in my opinion. So I'm trying now to, okay, turn around and land on the runway, because that's my main test. That's the purpose of this aircraft. And as you can tell, I didn't install, for the purposes of testing, I didn't install the air brakes. Sorry, not the air brakes, but the parachutes that would allow this to land, you know, noob style. So now I'm trying to increase, and we come back to the similar scenario where I seem to, it doesn't say that I'm stalled, but now it seems to be stalled, and for the reasons that are completely unbeknown to me. So, as I mentioned, if you guys know what the hell is going on, please let me know in the comments below and help me out. I would really appreciate your feedback, and I will be seeing you in my next video as soon as these two Kerbals hopefully survive.